released by French studio Sandfall Interactive, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a turn-based RPG that is best described the way my friend Pat described it to me. Very sad and very French. It is definitely very French, with names like Gustave and Renoir, and even before you know what's going on in the world, the deep sadness that consumes every facet of the game's world feels ever-pervasive. The Expedition 33 part of the title becomes apparent almost immediately as the intro unfolds, but the Clair Obscur part of the title took me a long time and a Google search to figure out, which I'm sure my college art history professors would be ashamed of. Clair Obscur is the French term for the Latin term chiaroscuro. I don't speak Latin. I don't know. But anyway, that refers to an art style that creates drama through the strong use of the contrast between light and dark. It's obvious from the start of the game that artistic expression was the core design philosophy, but as you progress through the story, you begin to see that art itself is at the very heart of the narrative. The game follows the survivors of Expedition 33, a team sent from the island city of Lumiere to quote-unquote the continent, which is representative of the French mainland. With the mission of Expedition 33 being to reach and eliminate the Paintress, a giant, sad-looking lady who spends her entire life sitting at the base of a monolithic rock and paints a number on that rock every year, originally counting down from 100. Anyone who is at the age painted on the monolith or older, 33 in this case, will gommage, or disappear, the word gommage translating from French to rub or to erase in English. Basically, if you're 33 years old on the day the Paintress painted 33 on the monolith, you're going to disappear into a cloud of rose petals. The exact mechanism by which this works or that causes this is unknown, at least until the end of the game. The game's world is shrouded in a palpable sense of misery, but it's done so with exceptional beauty thanks to the use of Unreal Engine 5 and some well-executed ray tracing effects. Expedition 33 is one of those games, like BioShock or Soma, that I would describe as cerebral, forcing the player to think and reflect on the experience as much as just play and enjoy the game. A lot of the game, especially the last few hours, is deeply philosophical and not nearly as straightforward or black and white as kill the big evil to save the world, something that you slowly piece together as you make your way towards the Paintress. This is, in my opinion, what should immediately come to mind when you hear the phrase adult game. Not some garbage sex nonsense, but a game that makes you ponder the very nature of existence in a way that children and even most teenagers wouldn't be able to appreciate fully. One of the most effective tools the game's used to create this outcome is stellar voice acting. The voice acting is some of the best I've heard in recent games, and the dialogue writing is absolutely top tier. The lines, 9 times out of 10, feel very intentionally and carefully written, and very, very few lines feel extraneous or like filler dialogue. The game's dialogue skillfully builds the sense that the continent isn't what you were led to expect, and that there are some major machinations going on behind the scenes to which your characters aren't privy. These secrets and hidden plans are very slowly and very deliberately hinted at throughout the game, but rarely revealed until the last quarter or so of it. The combat follows the common turn order setup that many JRPGs use, but with a quick time event or QTE feature reminiscent of Super Mario RPG. When a character's turn comes up, they have a few options. Obviously, you can skip your turn, but that's rarely wise. You can use an item, a healing potion, an AP or action point potion, or revival potion. You can also use a basic melee attack, which generates 1 AP, or a basic ranged attack, which costs 1 AP, and can be used as many times as your AP can afford per turn. Then you've got skills, which will be your bread and butter damage dealers. These might be healing abilities, buffs or debuffs, or damage-dealing attacks. There are numerous kinds of damage: physical, fire, ice, electric, earth, dark, light, void. All enemies are resistant or weak to some of these, and skills can hit either one target or all enemies at once. They can also inflict status ailments like burn, slow, stun, etc. Each skill costs AP, with the weaker ones costing 1 or 2, and the strongest ones costing up to a full 9 AP, the maximum you can have at one time. Lastly, you have your gradient attacks. These are very special, powerful skills that use gradient points to use. You generate gradient points as a charge for each AP that your skill burns to fill that meter. And once you fill the meter, you get 1 gradient point. You can store up to 3 of these at a time, and each gradient skill will use 1, 2, or all 3 charges, depending on how powerful the skill is. Like your regular skills, some of these are powerful damage-dealing moves, like an attack that hits a target 10 or 12 times, and some are powerful healing skills, like a skill that revives all downed allies and buffs them. Unlike your regular skills, which you unlock using skill points gained upon level up, gradient skills are unlocked by progressing through the game and building relationship levels between characters. I mentioned that the game features a QTE element, a la Super Mario RPG. This comes in with the skills, both regular and gradient. When you use a skill, you'll have to make between 1 and 3 QTE button presses, with success granting a better effect, and failure granting either a lesser effect, or in some cases, causing damage to you instead of your enemies. This QTE timing also comes into play with defense. When you're attacked, there's a tiny window of time where you can press the correct button to do a parry. If you parry every hit in an enemy's attack, you'll automatically trigger a counterattack. You can also choose to dodge these attacks, which requires pressing a different button at the right time. Some attacks require you to jump to avoid them, which is yet a different timed button press, followed by yet another button press to perform a counterattack. It sounds super complicated, and it can definitely take a bit of practice to get used to pressing the right buttons at the right time for the right attacks, but the game does introduce these various QTE elements to you slowly over time, and gives you a chance to practice them when one is introduced. You also get Pictos, items of which you can have up to 3 equipped at a time, that give passive combat abilities. You can learn these abilities after using the Picto in battle enough times, and you can use your Lumina points to keep these Picto abilities activated even when the Picto is unequipped. There is a lot of depth in the combat system beneath the turn-based surface, and you'll probably be halfway through the game before you truly get comfortable with all aspects of it. But once you do, Expedition 33 has one of the most satisfying combat systems in any RPG I've played in years. The game's soundtrack is best described as haunting, with an orchestral and operatic style that sets it apart from anything I've played recently. Even Final Fantasy's One-Winged Angel track, with its operatic vocals, doesn't achieve the depth of emotion that Clair Obscur's soundtrack creates. The soundtrack's somber vibe is the perfect support for the game's pervasive themes of mortality and loss. It's not just the sound design that I consider to be virtually perfect, either. The game is also what I would call a perfect length, clocking in at between 30 and 40 hours for most players, depending on how much you go out of your way for side content. There are some definite problems with the game. There's occasional clipping and lip-sync issues, exploration is kind of a pain since there's no mini-map, some of the relationship dialogue feels a bit ancillary and forced, and there are definitely some difficulty spikes that can frustrate players who aren't adequately leveled or comfortable with the combat system. That said, the emotionally gripping storytelling, captivating soundtrack, beautiful world, and replayability via New Game Plus all far outweigh those negatives. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 isn't literally a perfect game, but it's damn close, especially considering it's the debut game of a studio with fewer than 36 team members. If this is their first game, imagine what they could do with more experience and a bigger budget. This is one of those games that I think will be an instant classic, like Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time was for 5th gen, Persona 4 was for 6th gen, and Xenoblade Chronicles was for 7th gen consoles, and will continue to be revered and discussed for years and decades to come. There are few games that I consider true must-plays for literally every gamer, but this is definitely one of them. The story will grip you, the characters will enchant you, The soundtrack will captivate you, and the tragedy of it all will move you. It's only available on modern platforms minus Switch 2, something that I surprisingly approve of since it would need serious cuts for the hardware, and this game deserves to be experienced as envisioned by the artists. So you'll need to have an Xbox Series S or X, a PS5, or a gaming PC to play it. But if you have one of those platforms, you seriously owe it to yourself to play Expedition 33. My rating for Clair Obscur Expedition 33 for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and PC is an S.